calculating the required reserves. There are 4 steps to calculate the required reserves for a bank. First, you'll need to write down the formula for calculating the amount of required reserves, that is deposit times the reserve requirement ratio. 2, we will need to substitute in the deposit into the formula. Next, we'll substitute the reserve requirement ratio into the formula, and then we'll multiply the deposit by the reserve ratio. Let's look at an example. A bank receives a deposit of $1,000. The government requires the bank to keep 10% of its money in reserve. What is the bank's required reserves? The first step is to write down the formula, deposit times reserve requirement ratio. Second, we're going to locate the deposit. In this case, the deposit is $1,000, and we will substitute the $1,000 into the formula. The next step is we need to find the reserve ratio, and in this case the bank is required to keep 10% of its money in reserve. So the reserve requirement ratio is 10%. Our next step is to substitute in the 10% into the formula. Notice that the percent is converted into a decimal format by typing in the percent to the calculator, pressing the divide key, and then typing in 100. This will change 10% into 0.10. The next step is to multiply 1,000 by 0.10, and after typing in 1,000 into the calculator, pressing the multiply key, and then typing in 0.110 and pressing the equal sign, you'll see that the value is 100.